I am pleased to announce the University of Kansas Cancer Center has received National Cancer Institute's comprehensive designation. Congratulations.
The University of Kansas Cancer Center is one of the best places in the country to receive cancer care.
We've got some of the most competent people in the world here, but it's not about any one individual. It's about the entire team.
It's about bringing the very best to patients.
That really means better patient care, better cancer research, and one more step closer to our ultimate goal, to eradicate cancer from our society.
It really made me feel like that there was hope and that wasn't the end of the line.
I knew I was in the best hands at the University of Kansas Cancer Center. They were a godsend. They really were. They were a godsend.
He's the man that saved my life, and I owe a great debt of gratitude and a great deal of respect for him.
KU's at the forefront of all this technology, and we're taking advantage of it.
The team at KU was incredible. All the encouragement that they gave me, part of it is because I know that some of them themselves are cancer survivors.
You've become family.
I have total faith and belief that I am not alone in this walk.
When you're going through the fight of your life, to know that you're with the best of the best is such a relief.
Our dream is to eliminate this terrible disease from the face of the earth.
God willing, one day we will provide something more than hope. We will provide that cure.
Thanks to KU's incredible foresight and leadership, I've never been more confident that we will conquer cancer.
Good afternoon, everybody. What a great video. It's hard to follow that one. Actually, probably just ought to mic drop and move on. But it's great to welcome everybody here today for this really exciting series of announcements. And I want to thank you all for coming out to support, obviously, what we're doing today, but what we've been doing now for about almost 20 years. My name is Doug Gerard. I'm the 18th Chancellor of the University of Kansas, and it's my honor to host you here today. And I'd like to start out by making a few introductions, and this is always extremely dangerous when you start introductions, and we could be here for about 4 hours, actually. There's so many people in this room that have been so important on this journey, but I certainly would like to start out by welcoming U.S. Senator Jerry Moran, who's here to help us with the events today. You'll hear from him a little bit later, and he was kind enough to bring with him the acting director of the National Institutes of Health, Dr. Lawrence Tabak. So thank you for being here, and we'll hear from you in a few minutes as well. You saw the governor on the video. She was not able to join us today. She got stranded overseas, but certainly sends her best wishes to everybody. But I'm really excited to have a couple of our really strong state legislators with us today, Senator Pat Petty and Representative Sean Tarwater. So thank you for joining us. And I would be remiss not to acknowledge the presence of my bosses, the Kansas Board of Regents, who are represented today by Chair John Rolfe and President Blake Flanders, and then really so many supporters, our boards of our various organizations. We have multiple board members here from the University of Kansas Hospital Authority, certainly the KU Endowment Board of Directors, certainly many members of the KU Medical Center Advancement Board that have been so incredibly important on this journey, along with members of the Cancer Funding Partners, who also have been incredibly important on this. And of course, all of our philanthropic supporters who have helped this mission really for the last almost 20 years to help reach this point along the way. Certainly want to acknowledge who we will be hearing from later today, Charlie Sunderland, his brother Kent, and Randy Vance from the Sunderland Family Foundation, but also the leadership, the University of Kansas Health System, KU Medical Center, the KU Endowment, and of course the KU Cancer Center leadership led by Dr. Roy Jensen and Jeff Holzberlein and Executive Director Jeff Wright. So it really does take a village to pull these things off, as we all know. About a year ago, as we saw, we were gathered to celebrate an announcement that we had achieved comprehensive designation of the KU Cancer Center, and that is the highest level of designation from the National Cancer Institute, and really puts us in a league of about 54 premier cancer institutes across the United States. And really it's so incredibly impactful for our region, for our research enterprise, and for our patient care, as we all know. And really, as we think about that, and as we said on that day, that was not a destination, that was merely a milestone in a journey, and we continue on that journey today. And really today is about talking about the next step of that journey as we launch into an effort to develop a new state-of-the-art comprehensive cancer facility. And that facility will bring together our basic science researchers, our population health researchers, our clinical trials researchers, and our clinicians under the same roof for the first time here at the University of Kansas. And so we're so excited to be taking that step today. We're very humbled by the announcements that you'll be hearing shortly, and really want to thank everybody else, not only for your support up to this point, but we're going to need a lot more support as we pull this off. So we will be talking with more of you. It's really, as we think about the number of folks who've helped us in this journey, it really is a long journey, and you heard some of the testimonies on the video, and it really is not really about the research, it's not about the care per se, it's about curing cancer and really ridding our society of that dreaded disease. So it's really why we're here today, it's why we all do what we do, and it's why we are taking this next really exciting phase in this journey. At this point, it's my opportunity and pleasure to welcome an unwavering supporter of the KU Cancer Center, Senator Jerry Moran. Just a moment, Senator. Senator Moran was elected to the United States Senate in 2010 after 14 years in the U.S. House of Representatives. Of course, served at the state level as well, and he's been an incredible supporter of science and education, not just in Kansas, but really across the entire country, both when he was in state appropriations, but now as he's in the Appropriations Committee for Commerce, Justice, Science, and other related agencies. He's been an incredible advocate for this initiative and really supporting efforts across the state of Kansas at all our institutions, not just at the University of Kansas, but as a KU alum, we're always happy to welcome home U.S. Senator Jerry Moran.
Well, I thought Chancellor Girod, thought I was overly anxious for the microphone. It didn't really bother me till you all laughed when he suggested it. And I'm not that anxious. It seems like we've done this several times now before. It is one more celebration for another worthy cause and another desired goal for the people, the citizens of the state of Kansas. And so I am pleased to be here, but because I've said what I'm going to say today several times previously, perhaps, only perhaps, it will be shorter. I'm pleased to be joined today by the Acting Director of the National Institute of Health. I'm an appropriator, have been an appropriator for NIH since my arrival in the United States Senate. The first amendment I ever offered in the committee was to increase funding for NIH. It was at the point in time in which we were seeking designation. I wanted to prove to NIH they would have an ally, perhaps one even stronger, if they agreed to designate the Cancer Center a National Cancer Institute. And Dr. Tabak comes with us as one more in a line of NIH directors that we've had to Kansas, and particularly to the University of Kansas. And I think every NCI director, NIH is divided into various institutes, as many of you know. One of them is related to cancer. And we have invited and have had our invitations accepted by all those. But today, before Dr. Tabak, whose tenure as the acting director is soon to come to an end, before that happened, I wanted him to see the outcome of his work, the value of his commitment to science and research and medical cures, and I wanted him to know that his career at NIH had great value. We can esteem lots of people in our world, but those who bring us hope to those who suffer from cancer and other diseases are worthy of our respect and admiration. Dr. Tabak made me feel proud to be a Kansan and to be a part of the effort to improve the chances for cancer to be cured at the now comprehensive Cancer Center. We've had this discussion with a number of folks today who are seeking grants from NIH, postdocs and faculty members, and we've tried to figure out whether there's a bias toward universities that are considered the top notch in the country. What Dr. Tabak said to people who work here is, there is no discrimination, and if there is, there's no bias against a university. And if there was, I can tell you it is overcome by the people I saw today who cared and loved on patients suffering from cancer, and the people who are seeking research grants from NIH and are collaborating and dedicated to a cause of finding that cure. What we are reminded of, which we know is true, is the most important feature is human. And the University of Kansas has gathered together wonderful people who care and love, who have intellectual capabilities and talents, but mostly who have the compassion for others in fighting disease, in curing cancer. Dr. Tabak said, it's all about the people. He highlighted for me a truth about Kansans and about the KU Cancer Center. There are dollars that are flowing to this cancer center from the taxpayers or the borrowers, the lenders of our country. In the last 3 years, KU has received from NIH nearly $230 million. In 2011 and now in 2023 and 2024, almost $1.4 billion has come to the university since the 1992 when the NIH started diversifying and sending money to places like us. The federal investment at the University of Kansas is building a world-class research and clinical space that will make the KU Cancer Center a global destination for cancer treatment. I remember saying the last time we gathered that Kansans are now going to seek out KU for treatment and cure of cancer. But the reality with the building of this center is people across the country and around the globe will be looking to us, to the scientists, the doctors, the nurses, the practitioners, the researchers, to find that cure and provide that treatment. Dr. Tabak said it this way, you can be world class because of the people. My goal for Kansas is to make certain that those individuals who are intellectually strong, interested in science and research and perform mathematics and all the skills that I don't have, I want Kansas to be a place where those people are honored and where they can use their talents and intellect to benefit others. I want this to be a place in which we not only educate, but we find careers. We find opportunities for families. We create an environment in where people want to come to Kansas for the purpose of doing what the Cancer Center does. Today, the announcement that follows in this proceeding is a huge step, one more time, in moving this project forward. In FY22, we were providing $11 million to begin the design and phase of this building. And I'm here today to announce that in the FY23 appropriation bill that has been passed by Congress and signed by the President, we add another $43 million in congressionally designated spending to build the new Cancer Center building. We all want to find meaning and purpose in our jobs and our careers. Sometimes it's difficult for us to do so. This provides purpose, and I'm grateful to be a part of an effort that's going to change our state and make the world a better place. My interest in this topic is in large part generated by what Dr. Tabak said, people. And one of those people is Dr. Roy Jensen. It takes leaders, it takes visionaries, it takes people who can see that things can be different than what they are today. And from day one, Roy Jensen has been on a mission, which I was about to say, Roy, he's about to accomplish. But Roy, I think I know you well enough. It will never be accomplished. It is always work in progress. Please welcome, honor, and pay your respects to Dr. Roy Jensen.
Well, I want to start off by acknowledging a huge debt of gratitude that our Cancer Center has to Senator Moran. He really has been the most unbelievable supporter of this initiative. You know, I am in conversations all the time with other Cancer Center directors, and oftentimes the topic of the conversation is, where can I get my Senator Moran? Because your work, not only for our Cancer Center, but for biomedical research funding in general, is greatly appreciated across the country and has been vital to really advancing research across a broad front of initiatives, not just cancer. And I really started getting those calls when you sent us $43 million. Where can I get my Senator Moran? So I certainly get that. So as you saw on the video last year about this time, the Senator brought us news that we had achieved comprehensive status as an NCI center. And certainly this was a transformative moment for our center, for our patients, and for the entire state of Kansas. But as we have said from the very beginning, comprehensive status was not a final destination for us. That's not what this is about. It's a milepost and a recognition of our efforts to successfully conquer this disease that we call cancer. And as part of that philosophy, we immediately set out as a senior leadership group to consider what could we do to make ourselves one of the best cancer centers in the world. And we had a lot of discussion around many different topics, but one thing we kept returning to was the fact that if we could be together and foster collaborations across disciplines and across the sciences, that would be the single most important step that we could take to elevate our program and get it to where we wanted it to be. The reason for that is that cancer is extraordinarily complex. And cancer is, in fact, a representative of many different diseases, hundreds of different diseases. In fact, if you talk to genome sequencers, perhaps every single cancer patient is a unique disease. So that's why it is so important that if we want to make a difference, we have to bring people together. And I think that represents the vision that was articulated in the National Cancer Act over 50 years ago. It was a recognition that individual laboratories and individual investigators are unlikely to make significant progress against this disease. We have to have different disciplines, different types of scientists working together with clinicians, with epidemiologists and other population health individuals if we're really going to make a difference. So as we took time to envision a hub for world-class patient care and cancer research, and the hope that we could make the University of Kansas Cancer Center a global destination and a blue beacon of hope on the hill for all cancer patients, it became obvious what we needed to do to make as much progress as possible. This building is going to be a bridge between research and clinical activities that will enhance the efforts of our clinicians and scientists with specialized laboratory space, bringing together teams of basic scientists and clinicians and population health researchers, and establish an environment that truly fosters a seamless flow of information across our faculty. And everybody knows that research is the engine that drives advances in cancer today. We don't have all the answers. Despite all of the progress that's been made since the National Cancer Institute Act was passed, we're still only at 75% or 70% overall survival for cancer patients. And that means we have a lot of work to do. So each space, from the laboratories to the auditorium, will be created with collaboration in mind. And this mindset will be absolutely critical to pursue new and emerging directions in cancer research and treatment, such as immuno-oncology, such as artificial intelligence, such as precision medicine. And by bringing the right experts together, we can harness the power of genomics and basic immunology and big data and move that needle even closer to a cure. So about 10 years ago, we had slightly more than 100 disease-specific cancer physicians in our cancer center. And now that number is well over 150. And all told, the University of Kansas Cancer Center comprises nearly 350 cancer researchers and clinicians, which is no other institution in this region even comes close. So this building will not only enhance the quality and impact of our research, but also grow and retain the brightest minds in the field. It will truly be a symbol of our passion and our dedication to finding a cure for this group of diseases. And it is our hope that this new building will be a catalyst for transformative cancer research that improves the lives of people living in Kansas and beyond. And now it is my pleasure to introduce to you the Acting Director of the National Institutes of Health. He took over that position from Francis Collins about 18 months ago, and he has continued to steer NIH in a spectacular fashion. And please welcome to the podium Dr. Lawrence Tabak.
Well, thank you very much. I want to begin by thanking Senator Moran, first for your extraordinary support for biomedical research, and secondly, to invite me here, because this has really been a great visit, I have to say. When we were discussing the itinerary, I kept insisting that I have a chance to meet with fellows and graduate students and junior faculty. And I'm really glad I stuck to my guns, because what extraordinary people. That was worth the entire visit. So thank you very much, Senator. I'm actually really glad to be back in Kansas. When I went to graduate school in Buffalo, New York, I was adopted by a Kansas expat, Dr. Jack Katz, who for many years was an audiology professor in this region. And his daughter Miriam was the babysitter of my 2 kids. So I've been to this area because we came back for the wedding and so forth. So it's really nice to be here. And then across the line, which we apparently crossed multiple times over the last day, is the dental school at Kansas City, Missouri, where I have visited as well. So I sort of feel a connection. Look, this is an exciting day for your cancer center. You already have a really impressive reputation. Achieving National Cancer Institute designation is a big deal. There are very few institutions around the country that have the wherewithal to deliver the most cutting-edge therapies, and you are among them. And then again in 22, when you were granted the comprehensive designation, that really steps up the issue in terms of depth and breadth of knowledge across many scientific disciplines. And in granting this recognition, the NCI acknowledged that having labs and researchers scattered across the Kansas City metro area was not the most ideal approach. And so we certainly look forward to this bold new vision where you'll have a more centralized effort going forward. Now, you already have an exceptional track record to build on. For example, you have developed a robust drug discovery and development program. 5 anti-cancer agents invented here are currently in clinical trials to treat bladder cancer and different forms of blood cancer. Your research on the early detection of ovarian cancer shows enormous promise. Because we don't have a reliable screening test to detect ovarian cancer, sadly, by the time symptoms appear, it is often now you're dealing with a cancer in a very advanced form. And so your researchers here are working on ways to detect small vesicles that enter the blood as among the earliest signs of this devastating disease. Importantly, and this was a theme that came up several times during my visit, the center is also deeply engaged with the community in both Kansas and Missouri to study breast cancer prevention and how to reduce tobacco use and control obesity. And then, towards the end of my visit today, I was very pleased to visit the Alzheimer's Center. Like cancer, Alzheimer's is a top priority for the National Institutes of Health, as it is for the University of Kansas. So we're in great alignment, and NIH has supported hundreds of research projects on Alzheimer's disease here. And one of the most promising focuses of research is in the role of metabolism in Alzheimer's, including research on mitochondria, which are sort of the power plants of cells, and how lifestyle modifications may prevent disease. Now, I'm always asked, what's really important about transformative research, and in particular, transformative cancer research? The best way to describe this to you is in personal terms. The cancer that took my mother and my aunt and an uncle, they would have been cured today. But we have to keep going because the cancer that took my grandfather is still a challenge. So there's more work to be done, and places like this will certainly contribute to that going forward. So I want to thank you all for allowing me to visit, and now it's my pleasure to turn to Dr. Hosenberlein, Physician in Chief and Vice President of the University of Kansas Cancer Center.
Well, thank you for being here today. I'm really excited to see everybody here, and I'm honored to get to be asked to speak at this event. Really incredible. I'm, as Dr. Tabak introduced, and thank you again for being here today and for those remarks. I'm the Physician Chief of the Cancer Center, but I'm a urologic oncologist, and I've been here for 20 years now, almost 21, coming up in a couple of weeks. And, you know, it's been remarkable to be at this institution. And one of the conversations I was having with my dyad partner, Jeff Wright, when we came up is that, you know, KU has been incredibly fortunate to be the beneficiary of people like Senator Moran who bring gifts, as well as the incredible philanthropy that has come to support this. But in every instance, I feel like we've really taken advantage of those. And if you just look around at what's happened at KU in the last 20 years, you see evidence of that. Everywhere you go, from the new buildings to the incredible expansion of our faculty, it's just really remarkable. And I can't tell you how exciting and how fun it has been to be a part of that since I've been at KU. You know, I truly believe that we are entering a new way of treating and diagnosing cancer in many instances. Dr. Tabak mentioned that, you know, he's had family members that didn't survive cancer that probably would be cured today. And even with just in the last 5 years, the number of new therapies that we're seeing, which is the result of research that we've been doing for a really long time, are now coming into clinical practice. Those are things like immunotherapy. Those are things like targeted agents and cellular therapies, all of which really have changed our ability to cure cancer and to improve the lives of our patients. And so it's incredible to be a part of that. And certainly at the University of Kansas Health System and Cancer Center, we've been on the forefront of many of those breakthroughs. One of the things that we do really, really well here is that we work great as teams. We have a lot of collaboration amongst the disciplines that we have here. One example of a team that is at KU that's done such a great job is our hematology oncology team, or our bone marrow team. And I'm even a personal beneficiary of that. My mom, who lives in Oklahoma, had a blood cancer that was incurable, essentially, and was told that in Oklahoma, and came up and was treated by Dr. Joel McGurk and is still alive today. So those personal stories, I think many of us have those personal stories, but I think it just really illustrates the things that are going on here at KU and the teams that we have and the amazing work that are being done. And that same team is doing great work with some of the new therapies like CAR-T, and is one of the first in the world to be doing some of the trials that they're doing. And I really can't stress how important and how exciting that is. First in the world. Not just first in this area or first in the nation, but really first in the world for many of these therapies. And I think we're going to see those therapies be moved beyond just the blood malignancies or the hematologic malignancies, and we're already starting some of those trials. Those are trials looking at CAR-T therapy for solid tumors, for the tumors that I treat, including prostate cancer and kidney cancer. And those are, again, some of the first in the world that are going on. So really exciting things that are happening here. You know, these treatments not only increase our options for patients and the potential for cure, but we're doing that now with decreased toxicity. And that's one of the things that I think is going to be great about many of these new therapies, is that we have the potential to decrease the amount of toxicity that's associated with traditional chemotherapy, and that improves our quality of life of our patients who are undergoing treatment for cancer. And it improves the lives of cancer survivors. So those people that survive cancer, and there are more and more of those people now, they don't have to suffer the side effects. So there's just amazing and remarkable advances that are going on. But as many people have said, we really only feel like those advances occur when we're working together. You know, we talk a lot about this building, and it's not about the bricks and mortar of this building. It's about the people that we're putting into this building. It's about bringing researchers and clinicians together. You know, when I was starting out my career and I spent time in the lab at Rockefeller University up in New York and Memorial Sloan Kettering, you know, there were these sort of dark labs back tucked in the corner, and the clinicians had no idea what was going on in those labs. That's no longer the case. What is happening now in the lab is being directly translated into the clinical. We've had this term of translational research for a really long time, but I would say it's only recently in my career that I've really felt that what's happening in the lab is directly being walked across the hall and translated into clinical practice. And that's what I see happening in this new building, and that's what I'm so excited about. I really believe we have all of the pieces necessary to accomplish that here at the University of Kansas Cancer Center, whether that's the leading work that we're doing in cellular therapies with our hematologic oncology team, whether that's the world-class physicians and researchers from radiation oncologists to our surgical oncologists to all of the people that contribute to helping cure patients. And certainly, and not least of which, is our NCI Comprehensive Designation Cancer Center and the support of our senators and our university to help us do that. So I believe this announcement is going to be the catalyst that's going to help us realize our vision for a transformational and destination cancer research center. This vision and this guiding formula have really been the backbone of the University of Kansas health system for decades now. And that's one thing that's made it so incredible to be here. They've guided our growth and transformation, and I know that they will continue to do so in this next phase. And really, no one has been more important in that, in vision and growth and that leadership, and their leadership and dedication to the health system, and most importantly to our patients, than Tammy Peterman. So with pleasure, I'd like to introduce Tammy Peterman, the president of the Kansas City Division for the University of Kansas Health System. And thank you.
You know, I'm the short one up here, so I have to bring this down just a little bit. You know, I think there were some themes. When you listen to everyone who's been speaking, I think there are some themes. You're going to hear those with my words as well. First of all, thank you to all of you for being here, and thank you, Jeff. Jeff Holzberlein and Jeff Wright are just great partners in our cancer center, and they do amazing things every single day, leading our teams. You know, I think about the video we just saw at the beginning of this, and it was pretty remarkable. And it was fun, and it was fun to think about just a year ago, sitting in a room like this when that designation was made of comprehensive. That video also talked about patients. And you know, that's what we always do. We talk about patients, we talk about how can we best support them, how can we provide the very best care and support to our patients. And that's what we do all the time. The other thing we do at our place, and I think healthcare in general does this a lot, is we talk about people. We talk about making sure we have the best and the right people supported in the best and the right way. And I think it's that combination that has made us a world-class cancer center and health system. I also know that it takes great, groundbreaking researchers to work collaboratively with our care providers. Those are the kind of things that make a difference in a cancer center like ours. I think it's a result of the focus that we've had, as well as the really great people that we have, that we've been able to save lives and change this community for the better because we're here. I wish you all could have been with us this morning when we rounded and toured in our Cambridge Tower. We had Senator Moran, we had Dr. Tabak, we had a group of us, and it was great. Many of you probably seen that because you work in many of those units or any of our units across our health system. Our guests had a great opportunity to visit with staff and physicians, and they visited with patients, and they saw what happens at our place every single day. After that tour, we sat down and Dr. Jensen and Dr. McGurk shared a little bit more about our programs and some of the work that happens, and that was great. And then at the end, Dr. Tabak said, I just want to share a few things. And I won't have this exactly quoted right. I did ask him permission to share this concept, though. He said, I just want to commend you. I want to commend you for the work that happens here and the people, and it's about the people. At the end of the day, all of this is about people. He said you have great people who are passionate about what they do, and they love what they do and where they do it. He said you have remarkable teams. Those are the kind of things that people see when they come to our place every single day, and we were grateful to have the opportunity to show Dr. Tabak and Senator Moran a little bit more about our place today. I think it's because of those remarkable people, those people who are passionate, who are well-trained, highly motivated, that we're going to change the course of cancer care and cancer research, not only in the region, but in the country and around the world. We do great things for patients every single day. I see it, I know it, I believe it. You see it, you know it, we hear it from patients and families. We're going to continue to transform cancer care and research right here in Kansas City. Our vision is not just to treat cancer. Of course we will treat cancer. It's to cure it. That's another theme you've heard time and time and time again. We're in this together. We're in this together in this room. We're in this together on our campus. You know, we work together on our campus. Our clinicians and the researchers, they work together. Our survivors and their families, we support them and we work together. Together as Kansas City and as this community and this regional community, we're working together. And you know what? We're ready to take on another really big challenge. I believe it. I know we can do it. That phrase, we're in it together, you've heard that a few times today as well. We also heard it when I had the opportunity to visit with some patients and tour with Charlie Sunderland a while back in one of our Cambridge Tower units, and he said to a patient, you know, we're in this together. And when I think about Charlie and Kent and Randy and the Sunderland Foundation, I can't imagine a more perfect approach and a way to describe them than saying, we're in this together. That's what they do. They believed in our cancer center. They believed in our health system. And as a board member and community leaders and patients and philanthropists, they believed in us. They've supported us. They've trusted us. They've been with us. And they've been our friend. And today, they are showing us once again their belief and their trust in us and their commitment as we continue to do really big things here in Kansas City. I'm really pleased and I'm honored, and quite honestly, I'm humbled to introduce Charlie Sunderland to the podium now. Please join me in welcoming him.
Thank you, Tammy. Appreciate that introduction. This afternoon, we've had a compelling and promising look into the future of cancer treatments in our region. From a philanthropic perspective, this vision represents an opportunity for us at our foundation to use our financial resources in association with the talented and accomplished team here at this academic medical center to benefit a large and diverse population for many decades to come. As the new building is a critical component of this initiative, the Sunderland Foundation is committing to assist the construction of the new building with a grant in the amount of $100 million. As Tammy mentioned, we have a long history with the KU, and we have great trust in this team, and we know that they are going to make significant strides in the future. So we look forward to seeing a really an innovative new facility come out of the heart of this campus with a vision for the future of cancer care and a major benefit to patients for, again, years to come. So thank you, and I'm going to introduce Bob Page, who really needs no introduction, as President and CEO of the health system.
So I've been trying all day to figure out how in the world to follow Charlie, right? I mean, it's just incredible. When I played baseball, I had the opportunity to bat cleanup, and I'm the 8th speaker today, so I get it, I'm not batting cleanup, but kind of. So the only word that comes to mind, Charlie, quite frankly, is wow. I mean, I'm speechless, to be honest. So here's what I'd like to say. To Charlie, to Kent, to Randy, and the Sunderland Foundation, we are beyond grateful and humbled by your gift today. It is by far one of, if not the largest gifts in the history of the state of Kansas. And to Senator Moran, your support of the health system in this campus throughout the years has helped us become who we are today. So to all of you, thank you for believing in us and for your support of our ability to achieve our vision. Now, one of the words that you've heard used a lot today is transformative. So I'm a CPA and I struggle with multisyllabic words, so I decided to look it up and say, what else could I say? And 2 words caught my eye, and those words are life-changing. So if you think about today's announcement is life-changing for our patients. Those who we treat today, that we'll treat tomorrow, and those who we will treat into the future. Today's announcement is life-changing for our staff, our research staff, and our staff that provide direct clinical care to our patients. And today's announcement is life-changing for our community. Now, the University of Kansas Health System has been part of this community for 117 years. We have become a healthcare destination for patients locally, regionally, nationally, and internationally. And we've become an economic engine, not only for the metro area, but for the bi-state region. We have been part of the renaissance going on in Kansas City in this recent set of years that we're in, and today's announcement firmly places us at the center of that renaissance. Because here's the fact, we are Kansas City. We are Kansas, and we're here to stay. So we promised we would keep this short. I'm going to cut mine down. What I would like to say is, for those of you who are here, please join us for a reception while we're able to celebrate this incredible milestone for our cancer center, for our campus, and for our community. For those of you from the media here, we're going to be on one of these sides, over here. We're going to be over here. And those of us who have spoken today, you can come up and ask us a few questions. I want to leave you with this. The older I get, what I find myself doing is remembering those days that I will never, ever forget. And for me, today is one of those days. And I don't think there's a more fitting way to end our celebration and our program today than using 2 words that are incredibly simple and incredibly powerful. Thank you.